Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
I've been interviewing you for a few years now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't remember exactly how many that we've done, but we've done a few. And it seems like since the start, everybody was probably always asking you, like, yo, when are they going to put you on the Contender Series? When are they going to put you on the Contender Series? You're like one of the best prospects. You know, you heard that for years now. You're finally going to get your opportunity. Kind of annoying after a while, like the same question over and over and over again.
No, not really, because that's only gonna put me on the map. I love that, you know?
And you're finally going to get your opportunity, man. Did you feel like you were going to get it much earlier than this, or do you feel like it's like the perfect time, 6 fights deep?
I think this is the perfect timing, man. This is the perfect timing for me to get it. I didn't want to get it too early on. I wanted a little bit more experienced as well. And I have a crazy story. Um, one of my goal for this year was to be in the Contender Series or be in the UFC before my birthday. And that day before practice, I showed up like an hour before, and I was just warming up, doing my thing, and I just kept thinking about it. I was like, man, I gotta make this happen somehow, you know? I just kept thinking about it. I'm like stretching, warming up, and then Jason called me and he's like, hey man, Contender Series, let's get it. And I was like, okay, sign me up. Sign me up, baby.
And how were those emotions, man? When you're thinking about it and it actually happens, it's like it's a shock even though you're thinking about it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty unreal, but I knew this was gonna come, you know, like this was my goal since I was like a little kid, you know. I knew this moment was gonna come, and it was just me preparing for this opportunity. And now that it's here, I'm leaving no stone unturned, and I'm putting it all on the line here.
And you're part of that generation where like they started training with the goal to be in the UFC. Most guys, I think, in prior generations, they didn't even think about that. And then you've probably had other guys along the way, you know what I mean, guys you fought, same dream, but they just never made it. You know what I mean? They've never even made it to the Contender Series. Like you you kind of get a confidence from that, right? Like, you're at a certain level at such a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most of that is just like my commitment to my goal. You know, like I dropped out of high school for this. You know, I put all my eggs in one basket, and I just went for it. You know, and some people might say something, but they don't really back it up. You know, there's a quote that I love that John Krause say all the time. He's like, "Don't talk about it, be about it." You know, and I always stuck with that.
Definitely. And now you're taking on Kavanagh. When you look at the name, you just see Kavanagh, you think like, oh, the dude is Irish. But the dude is not Irish. The dude is Chinese, I believe, which is a trip. Is this your first
Is he?
Asian? I think so.
I don't know. I don't know. Chinese, fucking European, whatever. He's gonna get his ass whooped. Tell you that.
Well, you guys are both 6-0. You guys are both the best from your country, your region. So what do you think of him? Have you watched some of his fights and, the fighting style?
Yeah, I watched all of his tape. I always like watching my opponent's tape, seeing their evolution. I think he's a good fighter. But I think in this fight, I think making the right moment at the right, making the right decision at the right moment. That's what's gonna win the fight.
Definitely, definitely. And like let's just go back to, your career so far, right? Cuz you've had two fights that have gone to decision and 15 minutes, even your last fight, man. Like was your last fight like the fight that you felt like you've learned the most, you know what I mean? Just from like having the cage time as well?
Yes, yes, I did. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my last fight. I felt like I was a little bit in my head for like too much. I was too much in my head, in the back, and it was just like my first time being like, well, not my first time, but my second time being like co-main event, and I just dealing with all that pressure. I didn't know how to handle it. But now it's just like I'm just gonna go out there and fight. Like just fighting wins fight.
Do you feel like it's like there's not as much pressure because something's happening that people expect it to happen, like being on the Contender Series?
I don't know. I felt like it was just me putting the pressure on myself. I don't think it was anything external. Um, I feel like this time that I learned from my last mistake, so I'm not gonna make that same mistake again.
And with your 6 fights as a professional, what do you think was the fight where like you overcame most adversity, maybe in camp or during the fight, anything like that?
It was definitely my last fight.
Mm.
I had a couple injuries before my last fight, and I just kind of forgot about that too. But yeah, that played a big part of that.
And your last fight after that, how were you like health wise, physically?
After the fight, I felt I felt fine, but before the fight, I had a lot of bumps and stuff during camps.
Was it the roughest camp you had?
Uh, it wasn't the roughest camp, but it was just like I don't know. I felt like it just it was just a lot of setbacks. Just like during like sparrings and stuff, I was getting hurt. But now this camp it has been everything has been 100%. No injury free. I'm doing it smarter. I just hire a nutritionist. I don't have to worry about the dietitian side. Everything's going well.
Yeah, yeah. Hiring nutritionist, it changes a lot, right? Because you don't have to worry about food.
Oh my god. Yeah, definitely, man. I just hired Doctor Matteo Capo de Lagio. I don't want to butcher his last name, but he's been great to me, man. The weight has come off like super easy. I don't think this weight cut is gonna be like the same as any of the other ones. It's gonna be easiest.
Was it a struggle for you? Because like Asian food is not like the food that you should be dieting on. Just like me, right? Was it hard, like before you got the nutritionist?
Uh, yeah, man. The ramens and the fried rice doesn't help. No, but the diet that I'm on now is pretty healthy. A lot more salmon, a lot more fish. So the weight's coming off a little bit easier.
And also, you have like a tremendous team, right? And a long history in MMA going back to, back in the day. But there's guys that have gone through the Contender Series from your team. Like, what kind of advice do you go to ask them for advice? You know what I mean? What kind of advice have they just given you?
A lot of advice has been like be able to adapt. Because in a couple of my teammates that have gone through the Contender Series, they had like people dropping out and they had to fight another guy. So that was one of the advice. But everything else is just like getting better in between fights and understanding the game a little bit better each time. Because it doesn't matter who you fight. Like no one is better than the fight game itself. Once you understand how to fight and the fight game and your fight IQ is increasing, that's all that matters.
And for this camp to prepare for this fight, like who have you been in camp with to train for Kavanaugh?
Um, Clayton Carpenter, Kyler Phillips, Marcus McGee, and a couple of other of my teammates, Chance Ek, um, the insurance salesman, uh, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have like a tremendous team. It's pretty broad, right? How many like flyweight, bantamweights do you usually have at the gym when you have practice?
We got a lot of bantamweights. We got a bigger bantamweight crew than the flyweight for sure. But the fight IQ thing, like our fight IQ as a team is just like out of the roof. Like even guys that are coming up now, just you guys are gonna see the MMA world is gonna see, man. Like we're coming over in the UFC to take over.
Yeah, and the skill set that you bring, and then the skill set that a lot of the guys that are in your weight in your gym are somewhat different, right? A lot of those guys are grappling based, I believe.
Yeah, grappling base, but a lot of the guys there too are striking as well. Like Marcus is a striker, phenomenal striker. Kyler Phillips, phenomenal striker. Clayton Carpenter as well. He's known for his grappling, but his fucking striking skill is no joke. Chance Ek, He's a wrestler, but his striking is phenomenal as well.
And tying up with the bantamweights, right? They're bigger. You know what I mean? Especially like Marcus and Kyler. Those guys are big dudes, and like testing your strength out with them. Have you felt like a difference throughout the years of like when you grapple with guys like that? Like you feel like you're getting strong because you're the one that's getting older. You know what I mean? And stronger.
Yeah, definitely. I feel stronger just going with those guys, but also just like staying consistent with my strength and conditioning. I don't just train for the fight camp. I train the whole year round. I don't work. I don't have a job, so every day when I wake up, it's just like go to the gym and get better. That's all I do.
Like, have you ever like went into certain camps in the past and like imitated certain fighters for your teammates?
I help a bunch of guys like
Mm,
there's a lot of our teammates aren't in the UFC yet,
mm.
and I just whenever Crouch feels like their opponent have like a similar style to mine, he's gonna put my name down. I don't ask any questions. I just show up, put the gloves on, and spar.
Nice, nice. When did you actually get to MMA Lab? When did you start training with them?
I think about 3 or 4 years ago.
So you weren't really even there for like Benson Henderson's like run. Yeah, that was like what, 10 years ago?
Yo, yeah, that was that
Yeah.
was uh that was a while ago. I got there. I got there about like 3 4 years ago, so I
Mhm.
think it was around that time when he was in Bellator.
Yes, yes. And then like that's like around the time when like the pandemic hit and all that. Was it before the pandemic or after the pandemic?
No, that was like a little bit before the pandemic, for sure.
Oh,
I
really?
remember that because I remember that because the gym was still open for us to come train, but we gotta like park in the back, so that the security don't won't notice.
How was that, man? When you joined a new team and then all of a sudden this world like pandemic happens and then now you're sneaking around to train and shit.
It was definitely new, but if you want to make it happen, you find a way.
Mhm. Definitely. Were you watching? Were you even watching MMA like when Benson Henderson was doing his like when he was on his UFC run?
I don't think so. I think I was still hanging out at the skate park, fucking scrapping people.
Starter people at the skate park.
Yeah, charging people, dude. I still
Yeah.
got some of those videos.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like since you are a flyweight, like when you're younger, you're much smaller. You know what I mean? So like, were you a target for people at the skate park? Because the skate park can be good and bad.
Yeah, especially too. Like I was like the only like one or two Asian kid there, and I was just like I was just always getting in trouble, and I wouldn't say I was like getting pushed around, but I would say like I was also looking for trouble. Like I literally once I learned how to fight, I just wanted to fight everyone. I just wanted to prove myself and fight everyone.
For sure. I know the feeling. And are you better at skateboarding than Marcus?
No, no. The best trick I could do is an ollie.
Yeah, Marcus seems like he's pretty legit, man, on the board. I was shocked.
Dude, Marcus he's a beast, bro. I don't know how he's doing what he does, man. He's just an athletic guy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And for you, 23 years old, August 13th, you get your shot. I love it, man. And then you get to represent Vietnam as well. Tremendous. I think the only Vietnamese fighter right now is Stephen Nguyen in the UFC. And you get
Yep.
to join that, right? You get to join him. That's fucking
Yes, sir.
phenomenal, man.
Yep. I think it's gonna be me and Quang Lei. We're gonna be representing Vietnam as well in our Contender Series fight. I'm excited to put our city on the map, and let's fucking go, baby. No stones unturned. I'm gonna go head forward right into the fire.